Okay, so you know that feeling right when you're really trying to get something? When you want to like just nail down those key pieces of information and it all just clicks for you.
Yeah.
Like you just get that deeper understanding.
Oh, yeah, totally. I love that.
That's what we're doing here on the Duck Dive. We're going to be exploring something that I think is super fascinating, and that's your voice.
Love it.
And we're going to have some really cool insights into how the voice develops,
Absolutely.
especially when it comes to hitting the right notes.
Yes, we are going to be looking at something that is a core skill for any singer, and that is intervals in pitch.
Yes.
And we have an amazing blog post to guide us on this journey, and it is called When You Know the Notes to Sing.
Yes, and I love about this blog post is it doesn't just like give you a bunch of info and say good luck.
Right.
It really gives us the historical context.
Yes, it does.
It has practical exercises.
Yeah.
Which is so cool. You can actually use them to develop your own voice, and then it also gives you a bunch of other resources if you want to go even deeper.
I love it.
So our mission today is simple but very powerful.
Yes.
We really want to unlock how the solfa system can be like a shortcut to singing more accurately and really understanding the music that you're making.
Right.
You know those moments when something just clicks?
Well,
Like light bulb moments?
Yeah.
Aha moments?
yeah. Yes,
We're going to have a lot of those today
we are.
because I think this blog post really delivers those.
Yes, it does.
And we all remember from The Sound of Music, when you know the notes to sing, you can sing most anything.
Yeah.
It's not just a catchy lyric.
No, it's not.
This is real.
Yeah,
Solfa is a key to making that happen. Hurtelek et al., 1965.
exactly.
So to really kind of unpack this today and to get us to that point, we're going to be exploring the history of solfa.
Yes.
We're going to unpack its specific benefits for training your voice.
Right.
We're going to understand why things like how you stand and breathe are so connected to your singing,
Oh, yeah.
which I think is super fascinating. We're going to walk through some practical exercises that you can try.
Yeah.
And then we're even going to take a look at a specific solfa sequence to see how it all kind of comes together.
I love it.
Okay, so solfa, these are just syllables, right?
Yes.
But there's a very rich history here. Where did this system actually originate?
So it's a really interesting story. The widely used system that we know today has roots that go back to Sarah Glover. And in 1835, she published her Norwich Solfa system.
Wow.
Yeah, and her book, Scheme for Rendering Psalmody Congregational, Glover, 1835, was pretty revolutionary for the time, and it laid down some crucial groundwork for how we think about teaching singing today.
So she was really the one who first kind of started putting these pieces together.
Yes.
What were some of the key elements of her system that made it so foundational?
Well, what was significant about her work was that she really focused on relative pitch, and so she created a movable do, meaning that do could represent any note on the scale.
Oh, interesting.
So it emphasized the relationships between notes rather than their absolute identities. So it was a shift in how music was taught.
So it wasn't about learning fixed notes on a staff right away.
Right.
But it was more about understanding like how these notes in a song relate to each other.
Exactly.
And then John Kerwin came along.
Yes.
And he built upon this.
Absolutely. So John Kerwin took Glover's ideas and really expanded on them, developing what he called tonic solfa.
Uh-huh.
And he was very careful to acknowledge the role that Glover's work played in his work.
Right.
His book, The Teacher's Handbook of the Tonic Solfa System, published in 1889, is where he really fleshed out the system that a lot of singers use today. Kerwin, 1889, Wyss, ND.
And he wasn't just about the syllables themselves, right?
Yeah.
He also brought in these emotions that he associated with each symbol.
Yes, he did.
I think that's a really cool layer. Why did he think that connection was so important?
He believed that by linking an emotional quality to each syllable, singers could develop a deeper understanding and expression of the music.
Right.
So for him, do was strong and firm. Think of it as a grounded feeling of the home key.
Yeah.
Re was rousing or hopeful, suggesting a lift or a movement away from the tonic. Mi felt steady and calm, a stable point in the melody.
Okay.
Fa evoked something desolate or awe-inspiring, often creating a sense of tension.
Wow.
Sa was grand and bright, a dominant, uplifting sound. La carried a sense of sadness or weeping, often found in minor keys.
Oh, interesting.
And T, or sometimes T, he described as piercing or sensitive,
Okay.
having a natural pull towards do.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, so he aimed to connect not just the sound of the symbol, but the feeling as well,
Right.
giving singers another way to really internalize the music.
Yeah, so it's almost like when you're singing a do, you're not just hitting that note,
Yeah.
you're embodying that sense of like groundedness.
Yes.
It's almost like acting with your voice.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
And then there's the hand signs too.
Yeah.
I've seen these diagrams of the hand signs.
Yeah.
They look really specific.
Yeah.
Why use these physical movements with the syllables?
Well, the hand signs that Kerwin developed were a brilliant way to physically reinforce these emotional and sonic qualities. So they're like a kinesthetic anchor for the musical idea. So to do that strong and firm foundation, the sign is a clenched fist facing downwards.
Okay.
Re, with its hopeful lifting quality, is represented by the hand lifting at about a 45-degree angle from the wrist. Mi, steady and calm, is a flat hand facing down.
Okay.
Fa, evoking that desolate feeling, is a dropping hand with a pointed finger.
Wow.
So grand and bright is shown with the little finger down and the thumb up.
I've seen that one.
La, the sad and weeping one, has a drooping hand. And T, or T, that piercing sensitive tone that wants to resolve upwards, is an index finger pointing upwards, referencing the historical diagrams in Kerwin, 1889, and modern interpretations.
Wow. So by engaging your body in this way,
Right.
you're really creating another pathway for learning these intervals
Yeah.
and like internalizing them.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've got this really cool historical system
Yeah.
that has these emotional components and physical components as well.
Yes.
Now let's get down to the core of singing hitting the right note.
Right.
Why is accurate pitching so fundamental?
Right.
If you're like pouring your heart out in a song, does being a little off really matter that much?
Well, that's a really great question. And the blog post tackles this directly. And
Right.
basically, the blog post argues that accurate pitching is truly the cornerstone of effective singing.
Okay.
Think about it this way. When you're singing in tune, the emotions that you're trying to convey resonate much more clearly with the listener.
Right.
If the pitch is wavering or consistently off, it can actually become a distraction, pulling the listener away from the emotional core of the song.
Yeah, it makes it hard to focus.
Yeah.
I can definitely see that.
Yeah, it's like if someone's telling you a really important story,
Right.
but they keep stumbling over their words,
Yeah,
it's going to be harder to connect to the message.
totally. Yeah, you get taken out of it.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
And in a musical setting, especially when you're singing with others, accurate pitch is essential for what we call harmonic cohesion. That's when all the different notes being sung blend together beautifully without any jarring clashes.
Right.
So if even one voice is consistently out of tune, it could disrupt the entire harmony and create a less pleasing sound.
So you're saying it can throw everyone else off?
Yeah, it can absolutely.
Oh.
Beyond that, consistently singing in tune does wonders for your musical confidence.
Oh, okay.
When you trust your ability to hit the right notes, you're much more likely to be expressive and to explore the full range of your voice.
Yeah, you feel more confident.
Exactly. I can see that. Yeah, and here's a really interesting point. Practicing your pitch enhances your ear
Oh, wow.
and enhances your auditory acuity, your ability to hear and distinguish even subtle differences in pitch.
So it makes you a better listener.
Absolutely.
Wow, so it's not just about sounding good, it also impacts how you deliver the emotion.
Right.
And the group dynamic, if you're singing with other people,
Yeah.
your own confidence in singing, and then even how you hear the music.
Exactly.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So how does using solfa specifically give you an edge in developing this really accurate pitch? What are the tangible benefits of this for someone trying to improve their voice?
One of the key advantages that the blog post really emphasizes is Solfa's focus on relative pitch. Instead of getting caught up in the absolute names of notes like C sharp or F natural, you're learning the relationships between notes within a given key.
Right.
You're understanding the intervals, the musical distance between pitches in relation to the tonic, that home base of do.
Okay.
And this gives you a much more intuitive grasp of musical structure and harmony.
So instead of memorizing like a map of where things are, you're actually understanding the terrain, like how those landmarks relate to each other.
Absolutely. That's a great analogy.
I like that.
Yeah. Because of this focus on relationships, solfa can be incredibly accessible.
Okay.
It simplifies these complex musical ideas into easy-to-remember syllables and the visual and physical cues of the hand signs.
Right.
So it's a great tool for beginners, but also experienced singers who want to strengthen their ear training and their understanding of musical intervals.
Cool. So you can use it at all these different levels.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
And as we mentioned before, the emotional connections that Kerwin built in,
Right.
that's another significant benefit.
Right.
So by associating feelings with each syllable, you can connect and interpret music on a much deeper level.
Yeah.
Plus, those hand signs provide that kinesthetic link, a physical way to embody intervals, which aids in memorization and internalizing musical relationships.
Okay, so we've got this really cool comprehensive approach.
Yeah.
Now, the blog post also talks about the importance of good posture and breathing.
Yes.
On the surface, it might seem separate from hitting the right notes.
Right.
But how are these things connected?
They are absolutely foundational to singing.
Okay.
Your body's your instrument.
Right.
Good posture provides the essential alignment for your vocal mechanism to work efficiently and without strain. So when you stand or sit with a balanced upright posture, so feet roughly shoulder-width apart, spine elongated but not stiff,
Right.
and your shoulders relaxed, you're allowing your rib cage to expand fully
Okay.
and your diaphragm to move freely.
Right.
And this means unrestricted airflow, which is the power source of your voice.
Right.
There's no tension in your neck or shoulders to impede the sound.
Okay.
The blog post even points to research, Castillo Hernández et al., 2022,
Oh, wow.
suggesting a direct link between posture and the stability of your pitch.
Wow. So how you're holding your body
Yeah,
actually affects how consistently you can hit the notes.
absolutely.
Wow. Okay, that's a really tangible connection.
Yeah.
So what does good singing posture actually feel like?
So think of feeling tall but relaxed. Your weight should be evenly distributed. Imagine a string gently pulling you up from the crown of your head, lengthening your spine.
Okay.
Shoulders should be down and relaxed, not tense or hunched. Your chest should feel open, allowing your lungs to expand. And your knees should not be locked. A slight bend will help maintain balance and prevent tension.
Okay. Tall and relaxed. I can feel that.
Yeah.
And then we've got breathing.
Yes.
We all breathe.
Right.
How is breathing for singing different?
Proper breathing for singing, often called diaphragmatic breathing, is about engaging those deep abdominal muscles.
Okay.
When you inhale correctly, your abdomen should expand as your diaphragm lowers, creating space for your lungs to fill with air.
Okay.
So you should feel expansion in your belly and your lower back, not just in your chest and shoulders.
Okay, yeah, I can feel that.
Yeah, and then when you exhale, the contraction of these abdominal muscles provides consistent and controlled support for your vocal tone.
Oh, okay, so it gives you that power.
Yeah, the exhale should be slow and steady, avoiding tension in the shoulders or neck.
Okay.
And this deep supported breath is what gives you the stamina control you need for sustained notes and a resonant sound.
So it's about using your core for the power.
Yes.
Rather than just your upper chest. That's interesting. Okay, now the blog also talks about warming up.
Yes.
This might be a step that a lot of people would skip,
Right.
especially when they're eager to start singing.
Yeah.
Why is it so important?
Warming up is essential for preventing strain and potential injury to your vocal cords and the surrounding muscles.
Okay.
It's like stretching before you do any other physical activity.
Yeah.
Williams, 2017.
Right.
Warming up gradually increases blood flow and flexibility in your vocal mechanism.
Okay.
The blog suggests starting with gentle exercises like humming,
Okay.
lip trills where you buzz your lips, and vocal slides moving smoothly between high and low notes
Okay.
to get everything moving without any sudden stress.
Okay.
Then you can progress to more targeted exercises like scales, arpeggios, and interval jumps, starting within a comfortable range
Right.
and gradually expanding it.
Okay.
And importantly, don't forget exercises that focus on breath control and clear articulation
Okay.
as part of your warm-up routine.
Right.
This ensures that your voice is ready to perform at its best.
So warm-ups are non-negotiable.
Absolutely.
Now, our source material also gives us some practical exercises that our listeners can try.
Yes.
What are the key steps?
So the exercises really emphasize a step-by-step, mindful approach. The first crucial step is to sing each sol-fa syllable slowly and deliberately.
Okay.
Really focus on the feeling of the interval as you move from one syllable to the next and make a conscious effort to land accurately on each pitch.
Okay.
And using a keyboard or a pitch pipe to check your intonation is highly recommended, especially in the beginning.
So you're really trying to make sure you hit that right note.
Exactly.
And the keyboard or pitch pipe helps with that.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Another helpful technique is to visualize the intervals on a musical staff, if you're familiar with reading music.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, seeing the distance between the notes can reinforce your understanding of the relative pitch.
So it's like engaging multiple senses at once.
Yes.
You're hearing the pitch, you're feeling the vibrations in your vocal cords.
Right.
And then if you can read music, you're actually seeing those notes on the staff.
Exactly.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it creates a more holistic learning experience.
I love that.
And then recording yourself, singing these exercises and listening back critically is an invaluable tool.
Oh, yeah.
It can be challenging to hear yourself objectively while you're in the act of singing.
All right.
So a recording allows you to identify any areas where your pitch might be a little off.
Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah. Once you feel comfortable singing the exercises at a slow tempo, with accuracy gradually increasing the speed, will challenge your ear and vocal control.
Okay.
The blog post also suggests practicing that key phrase. When you know the notes to sing, you can sing most anything, using the corresponding solfa pitches.
All right.
This helps connect the theoretical exercise to a practical musical idea.
Cool.
And finally, actively practice interval identification by ear.
Okay.
Have someone play 2 notes on a piano or keyboard and see if you can identify the interval using the solfaing names. For example, do soro is a perfect fifth.
Okay, so you're really training your ear to
Yes.
hear the distance between those 2 notes.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. These are really cool exercises.
Yeah.
Now, the blog post also gives us a specific solfa sequence.
Yes, it does.
Sodo do la la fa fa me me do do re re so so do la 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 ti ti do do re re ro.
Yes.
What can we learn by analyzing this particular sequence?
So this sequence is a fantastic example of how solfa helps you navigate intervals.
Yeah.
Let's break it down.
Okay.
The first jump from so to do is a perfect fifth downwards.
Okay.
And this is a fairly significant interval
Okay.
that requires a really good ear training to land accurately.
Okay.
Then we move from do up to la, which is a minor sixth.
Okay.
That's another larger interval where you need to really listen to the relationship between the notes.
Right.
La down to fa is a major third,
Okay.
a very common and often pleasant sounding interval.
Okay.
Fa down to mi is a half step, a minor second.
Oh.
And even though it's a small interval, accuracy is crucial because half steps can sometimes be tricky to hear.
Right. Right.
Mi down to do is another major third, reinforcing that common interval.
Right.
Then we have do up to re major second,
Okay.
a fundamental step in many melodies.
Okay.
Re to so is a perfect fourth, another important interval in harmony. Then we repeat so down to do,
Okay.
solidifying that perfect fifth,
Okay.
followed by do up to lay, again practicing that minor sixth.
Right.
Now we have lay up to T, a major second here. You really hear that leading tone quality of T,
Yeah.
that sense of wanting to resolve upwards.
Right.
And that's exactly what happens next. Up to do a half step, or a minor second, resolving to the tonic in a higher octave.
Okay.
Do up to re is a major second, another step. And finally, re to down to do is also major second, bringing us back to the higher tonic and completing the little phrase.
Okay, so it's a journey through all these different types of intervals.
Yeah.
Some big jumps, some small steps, and it even highlights that leading tone. The blog post also mentions how this exercise connects to certain skill focuses.
Yes.
Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, this particular sequence is very targeted.
Okay.
It directly addresses level 1 skill focus 2, which is all about learning notes.
Okay.
By repeatedly singing these solfa syllables in a melodic context, you're strengthening the association between the syllables and the specific pitches that they represent within the key.
Right.
It also directly tackles skill focus 7, which focuses on 2-note interval movement.
Okay.
The entire sequence is built on these precise transitions between 2 consecutive notes,
Okay.
giving you practical experience in recognizing singing and internalizing those intervals.
So this isn't just like a random set of notes.
No.
It's very carefully chosen to really build those skills.
Exactly.
Awesome. Okay, so we talked about preparing to sing.
Yes.
We've talked about practicing.
Right.
Just like with exercise, there's also a cool down period for your voice.
Absolutely.
Why is that important? And what does a good vocal cool down look like?
So cooling down is just as vital as warming up.
Okay.
After you've been singing, your vocal mechanism needs to return to its resting state in a gradual and gentle way.
Okay.
Cooling down helps prevent strained muscle fatigue and really supports your long-term vocal health. Border 2021.
Right.
So the blog suggests starting with very soft humming or sustained vowels at a low to moderate volume.
Okay.
Then you can move on to gentle descending scales or arpeggios,
Mm-hmm.
gradually decreasing both your vocal range and your volume.
Okay.
And incorporating relaxed breathing exercises helps to release any tension that might have built up in your diaphragm and the surrounding muscles.
Right.
And finally, gentle stretches of your neck, shoulders, and jaw can help to alleviate any physical strain that you might have accumulated while singing.
So it's all about gently bringing your voice back down to that resting state.
Absolutely.
So it's a cycle,
Yeah.
preparation, activity, and recovery.
Right.
All essential for developing your voice.
Yes.
Well, this has really been a deep dive
It has.
into the power and practicality of the solfa system.
Yeah.
These little syllables and hand signs can really unlock so much.
It's amazing.
Understanding of pitch and intervals.
Yes.
And the blog post really drives this home developing mastery of pitch accuracy. It takes consistent effort and dedication.
Yeah.
But anyone can really improve their ability to sing with greater confidence and precision.
Right.
When you know the notes to sing, you can sing most anything.
Exactly.
I love that. It's
Yeah.
such an encouraging thought for anyone on their vocal journey.
It really is.
Absolutely. Keep practicing, keep listening attentively to music, and really just enjoy this process of developing your voice.
Yeah.
And on that note, here's a thought to kind of leave you with today.
Okay.
So thinking back to all the different emotions that Kerwin associated with each solfa syllable,
Yeah.
and how those emotions are represented in the hand signs,
Right.
how might exploring this connection
Right.
deepen not just your accuracy in singing, but also your emotional engagement with the music you sing,
Yeah.
and even the way that you embody a song.
It's something to really think about.
It really is.
Yeah.
It's something to think about as you continue on your vocal journey. Thanks for joining us
Thanks for having me.
on The Deep Dive.